When the Chinese military began their sweeping reforms, their combat units were completely restructured. Taking after the US Army's practice of heavy, medium, and light brigade combat teams, the Chinese military has transitioned from a force of divisions, regiments, and single-arm battalions to one of group armies, brigades, and combined arms battalions. In this video, we're going over the structure of the modern Chinese Heavy Combined Arms Brigade, as well as the equipment they use down to the company level. I'm your host Brendan, and this is Battle Order. First, I'd just like to thank our Patreon supporters who allow us to cover more interesting but less popular topics. If you want to help Battle Order grow and get a bunch of perks, including early access to videos, consider supporting us at patreon.com/battleorder. But on to the topic at hand. The Combined Arms Brigade is the basic deployable unit of the Chinese Army, and its heavy variant is China's primary armored warfare unit. The brigade consists of the following: a brigade HQ, 4 combined arms battalions, an artillery battalion, an air defense battalion, a reconnaissance battalion, a combat support battalion, and a combat service battalion. First, let's start with the support units and then work our way down to the maneuver elements. The Combat Service Battalion is essentially equivalent to an American Brigade Support Battalion or BSB, with comprehensive service support elements. It consists of 1 supply company, 1 transport company, 1 maintenance company, 1 medical company, and 1 guard company for maintaining security in brigade rear areas. The Combat Support Battalion, meanwhile, is essentially a combat engineering battalion. We don't know exactly how many companies it has, but we do know it has rocket mine clearing line charges, pontoon bridges, fortification builders, demolitions, and chemical defense personnel. On the other hand, the Brigade's Reconnaissance Battalion consists of 5 varied companies. First is the Armored Reconnaissance Company, which we believe is equipped with a Recce radar carrier based on an IFV chassis or some other armored recon vehicle. There are a few different reconnaissance vehicles in China's inventory, such as the ZZC-1 Recce vehicle. There are also a number of different ones based on the ZBD-4 IFV chassis. One looks more or less like a normal ZBD-4A with a ground surveillance radar mast. We believe it's possible that this is in the battalion recon platoons. Meanwhile, there is also a radar vehicle based on the armored recovery vehicle version of the carrier, with a much larger radar and optics mast, but with no turret. We think it's likely that these would go with brigade level reconnaissance, although we don't know for sure the range of vehicles in this unit. Then there's the Reconnaissance Company, which may possibly be foot mobile scouts and scout snipers for intelligence gathering. Then there's the Unmanned Aerial Vehicle Company for battlefield surveillance. Several of China's reconnaissance fighting vehicles and carriers have UAV launching capabilities. Then there's the Electronic Countermeasure Company, which is probably a standard electronic warfare or ELINT unit. And then finally, the Support Company, which we assume is sustainment oriented for the battalion. Moving on to fires, the brigade's main fire support element is the Artillery Battalion. In somewhat Russian style, the battalion consists of self-propelled howitzers, rocket artillery, and anti-tank platforms. First are its 3 howitzer batteries. These are equipped with 122mm howitzers, either the old legacy PLZ-89 or the newer PLZ-7s, which are both tracked self-propelled howitzers. 122mm was the regimental gun caliber for the Chinese, a holdover from Soviet influence. Unlike the Russians, who transferred their divisional 152mm SPGs from division to brigade level during their reforms, the Chinese retained 122mm at the brigade echelon. Heavier pieces like the PLZ-5 155mm SPG, meanwhile, are contained in artillery brigades at the group army level, which can then be attached to maneuver brigades as needed. Originally, Chinese batteries consisted of 6 tubes, so 18 howitzers for the entire battalion. However, some sources state that they're moving to 9 gun batteries, meaning there'd be a total of 27 122mm howitzers per heavy brigade. Both howitzer and rocket artillery batteries are most likely controlled by a ZSD-89 command vehicle per battery, in addition to a number of ammunition carriers. Additionally, the Artillery Battalion has a rocket artillery battery featuring 6 PHZ-11 tracked multiple launch rocket systems with 122mm rocket modules. These platforms are likely intended for rapid saturation of large areas deeper in the enemy's rear. Able to unload dozens of rockets in seconds, the rocket artillery is useful for firing against observed or even unobserved troop concentrations where corrections for more precise artillery might not be possible. The trade-off, however, is that they're very ammunition intensive, require significantly larger logistics train to feed properly, and have lower precision. And rounding out the artillery battalion is the anti-tank missile battery. While other types of units contain a mixture of anti-tank guns and anti-tank guided missiles Russian style, sources suggest that this battery consists entirely of AFT-10 ATGM carriers. These are essentially ZBD-4A infantry fighting vehicles that have been modified to carry the surface-to-surface variant of the wire-guided Red Arrow 10 ATGM, with 2 cells of 4 missiles per vehicle and a range of 10 kilometers. We don't know exactly how many vehicles there are per battery, although we suspect that it is 6. Moving on, providing the battery with anti-aircraft capabilities is the Air Defense Battalion, which consists of a mix of surface-to-air missiles and self-propelled AAA. The SAMs are HQ-17 short-range self-propelled SAM platforms, essentially Chinese versions of the Russian Tor M1 with ranges of up to 15 kilometers. Batteries usually consist of 4 HQ-17s supported by 2 ammunition-carrying trucks, 2 ammunition loaders based on an NG-80 truck chassis, 3 radar vehicles, and a ZSD-89 command vehicle. Based on some sources, we believe that there is one such battery in the battalion. The remainder of the battalion consists of automatic anti-aircraft artillery. The primary issue platform for the job is the PGZ-9 35mm SPAA, although the PGZ-4 25mm is also in service with some units. Sometimes both are in service with the same battalion. It appears these are organized into 4-gun batteries with 3 batteries per battalion. And now on to what everybody's been waiting for, the 4 combined arms battalions. Each battalion consists of armor, infantry, fires, and support elements. These are the battalion company, 2 tank companies, 2 armored infantry companies, 1 self-propelled mortar battery, and 1 support company. The battalion company includes a commander, deputy battalion commander, and a small 3-man staff. It's likely that 2 tanks are dedicated to the former 2 officers, in addition to other supporting vehicles that we're unsure of. Meanwhile, the support company provides a combat engineering platoon with 2 recovery vehicles and 2 bulldozers, an armored maintenance platoon, a supply and distribution platoon, and a medical platoon. The medical platoon most likely has 3 armored ambulances based on a ZBD-4 chassis. Take this with a grain of salt though, as sources contradict each other on exactly what's in this company. Additionally, either independently, part of the support company or part of the battalion company is the Reconnaissance platoon. This is a 6-vehicle platoon, possibly a half-and-half combo of normal ZBD-4A infantry fighting vehicles, and ones with battlefield surveillance radar on a telescoping mast. Moving on, the self-propelled mortar battery provides fire support to the battalion, consisting of 6 120mm gun mortars. The platform used is the PPZ-10, most likely based on the ZBD-4A. Gun mortars are essentially an in-between of conventional mortars and assault guns. They have a maximum range of 12.8 kilometers via indirect fire, but can also engage armored vehicles, for example, via direct fire with heat. It's crewed by 4 men and can achieve rates of fire of between 4 to 10 rounds per minute with a rough shell weight of 17 kilograms. In addition to the mortars, the battery consists of 1 command vehicle, 1 artillery reconnaissance vehicle, and 3 ammo carriers. And now onto the maneuver. Each tank and armored infantry company consists of 14 vehicles based on the American model, replacing the previous Soviet-inspired 10-vehicle company. This makes for 2 vehicles in the company HQ, 1 for the company commander and another for the political instructor, basically equivalent to a commissar, and 3 platoons of 4 vehicles each. The newest standard main battle tank in China's lineup is the ZTZ-99A, followed by the ZTZ-99, ZTZ-96A, and much older ZTZ-59 based on the T-54. All of these tanks are still in service in some capacity. While the ZTZ-59 is being phased out, they're not being replaced one for one by the newer MBTs. Some units with ZTZ-59s are being converted into assault gun battalions. Others may be getting the ZTQ-15 light tank, especially those in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region or the Southern Theater, where terrain is favorable to vehicles with lower ground pressure and threats don't require the most protected and well-armed MBT in service. The ZTQ-15, armed with a 105mm gun as opposed to the 125mm on the ZTZ-99A, is a replacement for the Type 62 light tank. More well suited to infantry support as opposed to anti-armor combat, the ZTQ-15 has seen a more limited rollout in some heavy and mountain brigades. Meanwhile, the newest armored infantry carrier is the ZBD-4A infantry fighting vehicle, crewed by a driver, gunner, and carrying rifle squads of 7 dismounts. They're still currently phasing out the older ZBD-86, a Chinese copy of the BMP-1, and are complemented by the earlier ZBD-4, which the ZBD-4A is derived from. It's likely that second and third rate units still have the older BMP-1 clone. If you like this look at China's armored units, check out this video on the Chinese Rifle Squad, where we delve into the organization and equipment of China's infantry, including the armored infantry featured in this video. We'll see you over there.